Welcome to the Undiscovered Metric. I'm Jessica Cardonic, VP of Product Marketing at Adverity, and I'm excited to be joined today by Laura Erdem, Sales Manager at Dreamdata. Today, we'll be talking all about data democratization and how marketers can balance access, accuracy, and actionability. With that, I'd like to go ahead and kick things off. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump right into it. How would you define data democratization from your perspective?
So for me, data democratization is when we're looking into the same data sets for whichever team you're looking into. So I'm working at Dreamdata right now, and Dreamdata product helps marketers understand what drives revenue of all of the initiatives that they're doing. But it didn't start from there. Dreamdata founders, they were product people. So they were working at Trustpilot, trying to understand how the product is helping sales to close those deals. And not just to prove it, but to understand where in the sales pipeline are we seeing more of those product touches for our customers to start buying more of the product. And the same would go for marketing. So as soon as we have one single data set for product, for marketing, for sales, and those are joined together, that is what data democratization is for me.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I guess from your perspective, what would you say are some of the biggest mistakes companies make when they're trying to democratize their data?
They're building up silos. And it is not the fault of the teams that are trying to do this. This has been going on for way too long time because your website is one silo that only a couple of people have access to. Your ad platforms is another silo that nobody really understands how it works, but they hope it, and then they wait for sales to come in. Mm-hmm. And then sales are working from another silo of, this is our pipeline, this is how this works. And then slowly companies started to join it together. Well, like adding a couple of fields for marketing. Where did these deals come from? And so on. This is tiny steps for us to have this same data set for everybody. And it's not an easy task because B2B customer journeys are long, have a lot of stakeholders. People don't engage on the same channels that everybody would expect to. So you, as a leader for data, you would be trying to figure out, okay, so how is our ideal customer journey looking like? And then in 3 months, everything is turned around and people started using AI and looking us up over there. So it's like the world of data is changing all the time. What type of data are we joining together is changing all the time. But as soon as you're starting to work from one single data set, it gets a little much easier to understand how do we pull that into that one place.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess what you're saying is when you're kind of bringing it all into one single place or single source of truth, would that be sort of how you would, or if you were recommending, where an organization should begin, would that be it? Or I guess what's your recommendation there if you're really trying to start out on a data democratization strategy?
There are a couple of things. So your website traffic data, this is the place where you're missing, your data is leaking out. This is the place where it's constantly leaking out because Google Analytics is built for you to buy more ads and to use them. And it's built for B2Cs. So the 90 days window for somebody to buy that bag or a bracelet does not work for B2Bs. So if you work for B2Bs, don't get that data out. Track it with tools that are tracking your data for your product and for your website. Very, very important. The next part, then you can start building that type of a source of truth in your CRM to start with. It's a bit limited, but it works. As a beginning, it's really good because it has your sales pipeline. And as soon as you start mapping out what is working in marketing besides that, some of your campaigns are already there. So we're getting into understanding what's working out of a limited data set. Because having some data, but consistently registered is so much better than either no data or too much of it and it's unstructured. So just start regularly measuring those pieces together, your campaigns, your pipeline stages for your sales, and definitely the website.
Thank you. That's really helpful. How would you say that marketers can ensure that democratized data leads to better decision-making and not just tons more reports and analysis?
This is education. Really, really important. So what we're very used to see from marketing is like, 30 slides reports every quarter what marketing did. We had this much traffic on this website page, we spent this and this many leads came in. And that goes a long way. 30 slides. And it's not because it's their fault that I want to entertain you with 30 slides. It's just they don't know where to grab and where to get the data from. Because they would love to say, okay, so we sourced 10 leads, and at the same time, 150 of them have been touched by marketing campaigns during the sales pipeline, even those were outbound leads, for example. So marketing is probably faulty of making too many slides in their reports, but it's only because the data is not available for them to understand the full customer journey and the whole multi-touch view of their data that they're responsible for. And the final part of it is, what is it that we're measuring marketing upon? If we're measuring them for leads, expect to see the 30 slides of what type of leads are coming from where. But if we're measuring them for revenue, marketing would start talking with sales at least and understand how many deals did we close, how many of those came from which source, and even if they disagree with which source some of the leads came from, then we would start the investigation and discussions, what actually is working and where in the pipeline stages it's helping to close the deals. So equipping marketing with the right tools to understand what's driving pipeline is going to help them be much more successful and create less of those slides that they're actually trying to do.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with those. What's the best way to really measure success if you had to give a recommendation when rolling out data democratization strategy?
First of all, is a common understanding and agreement what it is that we're measuring, what it is that we're going to see in the upcoming reports, and how it is going to be different from what we have been seeing before. We probably don't know the latter part, but as long as you know that we are changing some of the pieces of how we're measuring data and how we're joining it together, we see that all the time. So companies most of the times are having a single touch attribution, let's say first touch, if that at all exists. And then they would have to move over to a multi-touch attribution model. There are so many political things that are happening because suddenly marketing is seeing so much more ROI. And then saying, oh, are we under investing into marketing? But suddenly we're seeing some of those channels that we thought were working are actually not working anymore. And when you compare the Salesforce report and your multi-touch report, they don't match. And that's where we're seeing the biggest problem and the challenge for organizations that are not in advance aligned. What are we looking into and where does the data come from? So my advice would be, if you are thinking of getting more data, or I don't even think you need more data. We have enough data, but joining it in the right way for you to report into is agreeing on that in advance with the leadership team and knowing that there will be changes. So everybody can come in with an open mind and understand, why are we seeing the numbers that we are? And then digging deeper into those, where did they come from? Usually most of the companies would, first of all, continue reporting like they used to do and compare the reports that are prepared for the new wave, so to say. Let's say single touch, first touch, and a multi-touch report. So we're continuing seeing the first touch, but then finally we're having a look, okay, so what is the impact in the multi-touch world? In the next quarters that you're reporting, it is more educated guesses that we're seeing.
It takes time, doesn't it, to get everybody aligned, to reduce the silos and really start to make the best use of the data that you already have access to, rather than, generating more and more. How do you see AI playing a role? Do you see AI already playing a role? Is it making democratized data more useful? I would love to get your take on that.
Yeah. I would still be very cautious with AI, because even when I do math with my daughter and ask AI for some of the answers, there are certain times when it's hallucinating and I have to fix it and I have to tell the AI what needs to be done. So imagine if you give the keys of your data lake of your, multi-million-dollar company to AI to adjust some of those pieces. There are so many places that it can go wrong that I could not imagine. AI is so good at summarizing. This is great. Use that for that. Give it reports to analyze and then have a look at what it comes back with. It makes it so much easier for you to do. But so far, like the data mapping itself and building those joined customer journeys for B2Bs, I don't think it's ready yet, but I'm not in tech. So it could be that something is around the corner.
Yeah, like you're saying, maybe it's really around more of the low leveraging AI for more of the administrative type stuff and saving your individuals for the higher impact, more strategic work. Lower risk for AI where you don't get yourself in trouble. A couple other questions we have for you, not related specifically to data democratization, but I thought it would be useful to ask. We ask these questions to every guest. So it's always useful to get a sense of kind of what everyone's perspective and how that varies across our different guests. What overlooked metric would you say that marketers should pay more attention to that they don't currently?
This is an interesting one because most of the marketers have general reporting of impact of pipeline or impact of leads, and usually it is very single touch. So I think marketers overall should start thinking generally about the ROI of marketing. So take away the silos of LinkedIn is bringing X, Google is bringing that, because each and every platform has a different perspective and a different place in the customer journey. Let's say if you were to start comparing events with LinkedIn ads, they probably have very different ROIs. But if you look at the very bottom of the funnel and start seeing how many deals in a multi-touch world have we actually closed with these specific channels and put the cost on top of that, it gets so much easier to understand, especially if you get to split out branded, not branded search, because this is a place where pitfalls could happen. Then it's pretty easy to understand where is it that we would like to invest more money into. Most of the marketers wouldn't know, should we do 3 more webinars or 1 face-to-face event? If we put all that into one ROI picture, how much did we spend? How many touches did we get out of those? And how many deals have actually closed? It gets so much easier.
I think that's a really good point. And also, like, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but also it's like, how much more do we need to spend to continue to get, if we want to get X, what's up the mix and what does the spend need to look like to get to Y? I think that's something that I think a lot of marketing teams need to continue to work through because you just don't see it as much. Yeah. Okay. What common mistakes do marketers make when putting together a data strategy? And I think you've covered some of this to some extent already, but would love for you to sort of reiterate and provide a little more perspective there.
Yeah, and I would argue that marketers should not be the only ones setting up a data strategy for marketing. A data strategy for marketing has to go across departments. That's the first mistake, that if we were letting marketers to do the data strategy for marketing, we're already missing out on a lot of pieces because we're missing out the sales part. Where should market interact with sales for us to have the best results? The same would go for product. Where does the product come in? For product marketing, where is it that we should ingest, interactive demos or better videos about our products to engage our prospect buyers as well? So having that overall discussion with the teams across that your work is touching is the first step that marketers should be doing. And then from there, then you have to look into your own metrics. What is it that I want to measure and what type of data do I have available? And again, the most important part, don't overlook your website. 90 days cap window for somebody to convert is not enough for B2Bs. It's enough to buy an expensive bag, but it's not enough to buy a tool, because you will have to involve a lot of people in that customer journey and you will be losing so much of that type of data. So as a marketer, never overlook the website. If you can, add in your product data as well. If you have a trial, for example, that helps a lot to understand how are our clients overall interacting with our website, with our product, and what type of marketing activities are helping them to either convert or to buy from us while sales are talking with them as well.
That's really helpful and very relevant to what we're talking about today. What are your go-to resources for marketing news and trends?
I'm a LinkedIn gal. It's most of the time it is LinkedIn, 100%. And I like to mix it up as well to understand some of the trends happening in B2Cs too. So I do listen to podcasts too. Most of them are Danish, especially agencies that are working with B2Cs. They're seeing the different trends that B2Bs are not seeing, because B2Bs are so entrenched with data and the boring campaigns that they're running. It's like, we need some more inspiration to run from the B2C world. So LinkedIn, there's some amazing people in the B2B side that are working and talking about the new trends as well. And there are some people that don't really know much, but talk a lot about stuff as well. I can give you the full list of people that I do follow as well that are coming up with trends. So if we look into Chris Walker, for example, he is one of the trendsetters that we have been looking up to him for really. And he comes up with terms that people suddenly start using. So he was the one started to talk about influenced, and he started to talk about what else was there. It's like signals is one of the words that he's using. And I'm not sure if he's getting it from somewhere else or he's setting that up. But as long as you are following the people that are looking into the upcoming trends, and most of the time they're not as popular as the ones that are jumping on the trends. So start with people who are talking about what's upcoming as well.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Laura, is there anything else that you would like to share that we didn't cover already today that you think would lend itself to the data democratization discussion, or just anything else you think that, worth sharing with the audience?
I think it's really important to educate your whole organization about where our leads are coming from, how are we closing the deals, and what type of metrics are we looking into. You might be surprised how differently sales or marketing would act if our CEO or CRO spoke about our pipeline on every single all-hands meeting. Very short, but we're talking about what are our close rates, how many deals did we close, what's our target, how far are we from the target. You might think, oh, the engineers don't care. They do. They do because they work for the company. They want to stay there. They love the company and are invested. So I think one of data democratization metrics is also having the team either constant access or just information about it regularly, once a month or once a quarter, so everybody knows what's going on in the company as well.
Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for all of your valuable insights today. We appreciate your time and your expertise. And thank you to our listeners. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, or rate the podcast. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And until next time, keep exploring those undiscovered metrics. Thanks so much, Laura.
Thank you, Jessica.